Welcome to today's episode, Why You're Always Anxious. This is about the anxiety that shows up when nothing's wrong and still takes everything from you. It grips your chest, numbs your joy, and no one else can see it. Subtitles are here if reading helps you stay grounded. Take this in slowly. You're sitting at dinner with friends, and suddenly it hits. That wave, that ache in your chest, that tightness in your throat, like something's wrong, deeply wrong, but there's nothing you can point to. No one's angry, no one's in danger. You're just existing, and yet your body is bracing like it's under attack. You try to ignore it, breathe slower, think rationally, but it doesn't work. It never works. The anxiety is just there, like static under your skin. Too loud to block out, too shapeless to fight. You can't relax in silence. You can't focus at work. You cancel plans. You fake smiles. You try to look normal while quietly falling apart inside. And the hardest part is, you don't know why. There's no trauma happening right now, no confrontation, no reason, just this constant hum of dread that follows you from room to room. Sometimes it's subtle, just a background unease. Other times, it swallows everything. You can't sleep. You can't eat. You can't stop scanning for whatever invisible threat your body is convinced is coming. You overanalyze every word you said, every glance. You imagine worst-case scenarios out of silence. You're always preparing, but for what? And still, when you try to explain it, you sound irrational. Because how do you describe a fear that has no name? So instead, you carry it. Quietly. Constantly. Like armor you never take off, even when you're safe. But what if the problem isn't that something's wrong with you? What if your body learned to live in fear and just never learned how to stop? Here's what no one tells you. Anxiety isn't just an emotion. It's a system. It's your brain's oldest survival program, designed to keep you alive. Not happy, not calm, just alive. And if you grew up in an environment where calm never lasted, where tension was the norm, where love was unpredictable, where small things turned dangerous fast, then your brain did exactly what it was built to do. It adapted. It scanned. It stayed alert. It built a life-saving habit of fear. But here's the catch. Your body doesn't update the software just because your environment changed. So even if you're safe now, your system is still running the old code. That's why anxiety shows up when nothing's wrong. Because for your nervous system, nothing happening has never meant safety. It meant a storm was coming. And so, it braces. Here's where it gets deeper. We live in a world that glorifies productivity, performance, and emotional control. So when your body screams, "I'm not safe," you don't get comfort. You get told to calm down. You learn to hide it, to shame it, to internalize it. And that makes you think you are the problem. Instead of realizing your anxiety was your body's loyalty, it protected you. Perfectly. But now it's become the prison. So what if this panic you hate is actually proof of how deeply your system once tried to protect you? What if the thing that keeps hurting you was built by a version of you that just didn't know any other way to feel safe? You learned early that it wasn't safe to relax, so now you don't know how to stop preparing. Even when nothing's wrong, your mind keeps scanning. What did I forget? Did I say the wrong thing? What if something bad is about to happen? You call it overthinking. But really, it's a habit your body practiced for years. Because when you were little, you couldn't change what was happening, but you could try to stay ahead of it. You couldn't control the chaos, but you could learn the signs. You could read the room, smooth things over, stay on guard, and that kept you safe back then. But now, that same strategy just makes you feel tense all the time. You replay conversations. You anticipate disaster. You plan 10 steps ahead, but still feel behind. Because the real problem isn't what's happening. It's that your body is stuck in a world that doesn't exist anymore. And you can't logic your way out. You've tried. You've told yourself to calm down, to stop worrying, to be more present. But your nervous system doesn't respond to pep talks. It responds to patterns. And your pattern says, stay alert or something will go wrong. So even in calm moments, you can't feel calm. Because calm feels unfamiliar, suspicious, like a silence that comes before something bad. And it makes perfect sense why you do that. You're not overreacting. You're adapting. You just never learned how to turn the alarm off. Because no one ever showed you what safety actually feels like. You thought something was wrong with you. You thought you were weak for feeling anxious. You thought you were too sensitive, too dramatic, too much. You wondered why small things triggered you so deeply, and why you couldn't just let them go like everyone else. But it wasn't because you're broken. It was because your body made decisions before your mind had the words. Think about it. You got called out in class and everyone laughed, and you froze. You asked for help at home, and no one responded, so you stopped asking. You spilled something by accident, and someone yelled, so your body learned that mistakes weren't safe. Those moments didn't look like trauma, but to a child with no context, no control, no emotional vocabulary, they felt dangerous. Because children don't know the difference between discomfort and threat. They just know. Something happened, and now I feel bad. Don't let that happen again. So your system stepped in. It said, okay, scan for risk next time. Play it safe. Don't speak. Don't mess up. And that strategy worked. It kept you out of trouble, out of conflict, out of pain. But now, you're still running that program in a world where the danger is gone. You still apologize for things that aren't your fault. You still rehearse sentences before you speak. You still panic over unread messages or being misunderstood. Because your nervous system isn't reacting to the present. It's reacting to a rule your body learned when you were too young to question it. And you never went back to see if that rule still made sense. So you live by it and blame yourself for struggling, when really, you've just been following the emotional blueprint of a kid who did their best to survive confusion. You weren't wrong. You were adapting to silence, to rejection, to unpredictability. You were trying to stay safe in a world that never explained what safety actually meant. And none of that was your fault. You don't need to fix your anxiety overnight. But you can stop feeding the loop. Start with this. Anxiety thrives on what feels unfinished. A message you haven't answered. A bill you keep avoiding. A decision you keep pushing off. Each one tells your nervous system, we're not safe yet. Not because anything bad is happening, but because your brain is built to seek closure. In fact, studies show that financial insecurity, especially chronic indecision around money, is one of the biggest predictors of anxiety today. Not the lack of money itself, but the lack of clarity. That's why making one small financial move, checking your balance, setting a limit, automating a payment, can calm your system more than a dozen mindset tricks. Because when you close even one loop, you show your body, the danger is over. And that message? It changes everything. So here's a micropath. Before you get out of bed tomorrow, try this. Start at your feet. Gently tense the muscles for 3 seconds. Then release. Move up to your calves. Tense. Breathe. Release. Keep going. Thighs, stomach, chest, hands, jaw. Notice how your body responds. What you're doing is simple, but powerful. You're showing your system, I'm here. You're giving it what it never got as a child, a sense that someone is paying attention, and that someone is you. You won't erase the wiring in one day, but you can start showing up for the version of you who never got closure. One message sent, one payment made, one breath taken. You're not becoming fearless. You're becoming the adult your anxiety needed all along. If this felt familiar, if any part of you whispered, "That's me," you're not imagining it. You've just been carrying more than most people can see. Anxiety is rarely loud. It's quiet, constant, invisible. It's the racing thoughts you don't tell anyone about, the tension you feel sitting still, the pressure to always stay ahead, even when there's nothing to outrun. And for so many of us, it started early. Before we had the words, before we could ask for help, before we even knew what safe was supposed to feel like. We learned to stay ready, to overthink, overwork, overperform. Because back then, it felt like the only way to stay loved, or at least not in trouble. And now, even when we're no longer in danger, our bodies still act like we are. That doesn't make you broken. That makes you brilliant. You built a whole system to protect yourself. And now, you're learning how to live without fear being in charge. That takes courage. That takes patience. That takes showing up, even when it's messy. And if you're here, you're already doing that. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to be calm all the time. You just need to keep showing up for yourself, one tiny step at a time. If something in this episode landed for you, feel free to share it in the comments. Not to be seen, but to remind someone else, you're not the only one. And if you're not ready to share, that's okay. Just know this: you were never too sensitive. You were never too much. You were adapting beautifully. And now you're becoming something else. Not fearless, not perfect, just more you, without the armor. Thanks for listening, for feeling this with me. Whatever you're carrying, I hope it feels a bit lighter now. See you in the next video.